pay card.
Persons who violate the law of our nation are subject to prosecution. I would cite you to the Apostle Paul and his clear and wise command in Romans 13 to obey the laws of the government, because God has ordained the government for his purposes.
Attorney General Sessions citing Scripture to defend the administration's immigration policy, and the so-called mainstream media is having none of it. Listen.
More than 2,000 children separated from their parents. The White House is not using policy to justify this, or, they're actually using the Bible.
Would that have been the choice, Romans 13, to use? Because that's been used before to advocate slavery.
I thought we had separation of church and state in this country.
Here to react, our religion panel, Fox News religion contributor Father Jonathan Morris, along with Muslim scholar Dr. Kunta Ahmed, pastor of New Life Harvest Church Bishop Leanne Benjamin, and Rabbi Evan Moffick of Chicago's congregation Solel. Thank you very much for being here. Kunta, I'm going to start with you. So you've got this idea that religion can never be something that underpins policy. In this case, reasonable people can disagree about separation of children at the border. He's citing Romans 13. Is that something an attorney general should not do?
I think that we are a faith-based country, though our government is completely distinct from religion. Many of us in this country are guided by religion, and I was fascinated to hear the Attorney General's quotation. We have exactly the same quotation in the Quran, that we must accord authority to those that govern us to keep a peaceful society. Otherwise, we have anarchy. So I can't really criticize him on that, and the religion is not entering the policy. These policies existed in the last administration as well. They're just being enforced now. Of course, it's inhumane to separate families, and we can correct that by changing a policy. But let's not forget, the United States offers many myriad legal means of seeking asylum. Sure. You make a legal port of entry to this country, and you can seek asylum.
Bishop Benjamin, your take.
Well, I'm totally in agreement with Attorney General Jeff Sessions, and again, happy Father's Day to everyone out there. Mm-hmm. This is totally what we should be doing. The Bible clearly says that the higher powers we are to be subject unto, which is government, but ultimately God. And so in doing so, we must have order. If not, we'll have tyranny. And so I'm in agreement with President Trump in building the wall to secure our borders. And we are not in any way being dishumane to these children being separated by their parents. The Health and Human Services Refugee Settlement is taking good care of these children while their parents are going through this process because they did break the law.
Father John, I see you disagreeing. Let me put a headline up there too. Well, go ahead. Go ahead and respond correctly.
Things. One is absolutely there's nothing wrong with the politician quoting scripture, but it's not going to go well for you when you take one scripture to justify your policy. That same scripture, as we saw in one of the video clips, has been used in the past to support slavery. When you say no, hey, this is the law of the land, support it. We could say today the law of the land is abortion. Oh, we need to support that. No. We have a responsibility as a government, as a nation, to make just laws. Does that mean there should be safe and secure borders? Yes, absolutely. But let's not take one scripture and say it's okay, therefore, to take a baby out of a mother's hands or a father's hands. That cannot be justified. And we can say, hey, that's the law. And now maybe the legislator needs to change the law. Yes, but President Trump could also have an executive order like he's done so many times in the past. He has said that he totally disagrees with this policy right now. Let's change it. And let's not use scripture to suggest that it's okay to take babies out of their parents' hands. Let's be serious.
No, Rabbi, let me get the rabbi in here. There's also a New York Times headline that caught our eye, to just add another angle to this discussion, that said you can't be pro-life and against immigrant children. Of course, the implication here is that if you separate them, you're against immigrant children. Rabbi Moffick, your take on that?
Oh, I absolutely agree with Father Jonathan. I think I appreciate quoting scripture, and there are Jewish echoes, Dina de Malchut Dina, the law of the land is the land. But the Bible also says 36 times, you shall not oppress a stranger, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. So I think it's very dangerous to quote scriptures as a justification for government policy, because you can often find different ones. I think the focus should be on values, and what are our values as Americans. And I think it's humane treatment. Of course we have to have national borders, there's no question, but how we treat those who come into our country reflects on us. A society is measured by how it treats its most vulnerable.
Rabbi, speaking of treatment, so you can disagree about policies on the border, but there's some hyperbole around that, and we're going to play some of the reaction to separation at the border and get your reaction. Listen to this.
Yeah.
We can't find a solution to this problem without harming children, without putting them into concentration camps.
I call this a concentration camp for kids, because that's exactly what it's turning out to. When you give kids 22 hours of lockup time and 2 hours of airtime, what else can it be?
Rabbi, okay, you could say a lot of things about family separation at the border, but to compare it to concentration camps, and in fact, one of our former CIA directors posted a picture of a concentration camp that exterminated 1.1 million Jews. How do we have a rational discussion when these comparisons are going on?
Well, absolutely. I think it's overblown, and I think, I mean, I haven't visited these centers, but
they're not gassing kids, right? I mean, you can, yeah.
I think it's exaggeration, and I think it reflects the polarization of our politics. I mean, it's either 100% against or 100% for, and the other side are total enemies and are creating concentration camps. That's more reflection of how our politics has devolved rather than the reality. So I absolutely think it's a horrible comparison. I think we need to be humane and empathetic, but to call them concentration camps is out of bounds.
Well, Father John, I heard your passion there, and understandably so. You don't want the wrong historical comparisons. You can use Scripture to justify the wrong things at the wrong times. In this particular case, though, to talk about concentration camps, how do you move beyond? I mean, how do you move beyond that when that's the way one side views it?
No, that's just irresponsible behavior to be talking about concentration camps as a comparison. But you know what I do hear a lot, which I think we also have to speak against, is people who are saying on social media, people are telling me this constantly on Facebook or Twitter, saying, hey, Father, no, the people who are doing wrong are the ones who are breaking the laws and coming over illegally. And I would say yes. That's true. But when somebody does something wrong, like breaking a law, it does not give the government free rein to then do whatever they want with them. And that's why I think we have to be better than what we're doing right now. We have over 20% increase in children being separated right now from their parents. Something has to change with that.
Leon, but the policy is, of course, temporary. The separation is temporary. Shelters are different than concentration.
It's not temporary for those kids, Peter. It's not temporary. Those kids
we all go
are the
through
ones suffering.
But Leon, go ahead.
Well, look, this is definitely a hyperbole of what is actually going on with our government. Our president has already stated that he has no desire in separating children from their families, but we must have rule of order. We must have process. They're being taken care of very, very, very well, while their parents who broke the law are being properly processed. This is something where we have hyperbole, we have exaggerated. Congress has stalemated on this. They have a chance coming up to make the policy right, and the president is ready to sign anything that supports border security, bringing families back together, getting rid of this chain migration, these long overrun, outdue visas, and something that's going to keep America safe and protect us from criminals like MS-13 and all this drug smuggling. This stuff has to stop, and Congress plays a great part in this. We cannot keep blaming our government when we have those in government that want to keep and perpetuate the problem.
Kanta, your response.
Pete, two things. We have numerous avenues of legal political asylum in the United States. Go to a legal port of entry, families are not separated, children are not separated. So number one, this does not mean that immigrating or seeking asylum in the United States separates people from children. Number two, as a member of the USC Shoah Foundation, comparing what's happening in the border to Auschwitz, where I visited, is a desecration of the memory of the Holocaust and represents complete distortion of an important discussion.
You guys all make me want to go back and get a theology degree, I'll be honest. Thank you guys.
Hey, the Bible's real.
An important discussion. I really appreciate all of you this morning.
God
Thanks for
bless
joining
you.
us.
Happy Father's Day again.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy
Appreciate
Father's
it.
Day.
You got
Blessings.
it. All right, well.